This is not a story about the past. This is a warning from the future. Imagine the floodlights at Old Trafford humming like a lie detector, exposing every weakness, every excuse. Imagine a club so heavy with its own legend that even the grass remembers the weight of parades. And now, imagine the door opening, a new architect stepping through the smoke, carrying not a magic wand, but a plan. Some call him the next Ferguson. Others call that reckless. Tonight, we test the claim, brick by brick, decision by decision, moment by moment, until one night in September tilts the club on its axis and a new era starts breathing. Before we begin, if you love deep football stories told with obsession and care, hit subscribe to Infinite Football right now. It costs nothing, and it tells the algorithm you want more of the good stuff. Thank you. The ghost that never left still paces the touchline at Old Trafford. You can see him if you squint. Half smile, folded arms, eyes like a judge. He didn't just build teams, he built standards. He didn't just sign players, he signed identities. That standard, that identity, is why the club feels lost when it loses. It's why every manager arrives with a suitcase and leaves with a sigh. Because they're not just competing with rivals, they're competing with a memory. Let's hit rewind, not to the trophy parades, but to the hunger before them, to a club restless, noisy and uncertain, to a manager who arrived into that noise and demanded order. He wanted width. He wanted wingers who scared fullbacks into backpedaling. He wanted strikers who smelled panic. He wanted midfielders who ran toward shadows just to make space for the light. Above all, he wanted a culture where the shirt weighed more than the name on the back. The methods were simple and merciless. Demand more than yesterday, demand more than the opponent. Make training harder than match day. Cut complacency as soon as it grows a leaf. Build a dressing room where standards walk in before the players do. And then do the wildest thing you can do at a big club. Trust teenagers. Trust kids who grew up sketching the club crest in their schoolbooks and let them redraw the future with their boots. That blueprint, both romantic and ruthless, became the scaffolding of an empire. Fast forward to now. New century, new tactics, same problem. The identity feels blurred. The name on the stadium is still the same, but the football inside has too often felt like a cover band. Loud, high energy, and somehow forgettable. The incoming architect has a different toolbox. He speaks in geometry. He coaches rhythm. He drills distances like a music teacher counting beats. His shape is a 3-4-3, but the numbers are just a skeleton. The flesh is pressing, spacing, and brave passing. Wingbacks become wingers. Midfielders become conductors. The back three becomes a launch pad. This story is not a fairy tale. It starts with friction. Picture the first meetings with the squad. No shouting, no theatre. Calm, precise instruction. The message is unblinking. Your talent got you here. Your discipline will keep you here. The most powerful word is we. We press together. We retreat together. We take responsibility together. Reputation? Not negotiable. Effort? Non-negotiable. Tactics? Absolutely non-negotiable. The first training weeks look like choreography. 10-yard corrections, 5-yard shuffles, 2-second triggers. The players learn the new grammar of the game, how to create a spare man, how to close the central lane, how to bait the press and then escape it. The intensity is draining. Mistakes multiply before they shrink. That's how it works. The brain learns slow so the feet can move fast. Then the season begins and the reality hits like cold rain. The team dominates the ball and misses the chance. The team controls the middle third and gets punched in the 4th minute of stoppage time. The headlines write themselves. The online noise invents a drumbeat. Doubt is a fog. It creeps under doors. But in the video room, the clips tell a different story. Lines closer, distances tighter, runs more coordinated. The skeleton is standing. It just needs muscle. There's a reason rebuilds look chaotic from the outside. You can't renovate a house without seeing dust. But beneath the mess, load-bearing beams are being replaced. You see it in small moments. A wingback reading a switch and arriving early. A centre-back stepping into midfield at the right time, not the heroic time. A 6 receiving under pressure and turning into open space, not into traffic. The team stops chasing the ball. It starts moving the opponent. Culture is the quiet part that echoes the longest. The new staff sets rules that sound old-fashioned because they work. Be on time, be fit, be brave with the ball, be humble without it. Celebrate the tackle like the goal. Winning back possession in 3 passes becomes a standing ovation trigger in training. Senior players who buy in are amplified. Senior players who don't are moved on, politely but firmly. The badge is not a hobby, it's a commitment. A club only truly changes when the supporters feel it in their bones. That requires a night that tests both faith and system. Before that night arrives, there are previews. Away wins that taste like iron. Home draws that feel like promises. A teenager makes a fearless late run and squares for a tap-in. A veteran, written off by practically everyone with a microphone, throws his body in front of a shot in the 93rd minute and is mobbed like a goal scorer. Those are tiny miracles. They are also evidence. And then the fixture list hands out fate like a sealed envelope. The build-up is brutal. A derby ends in humiliation. The talk shows have their feast. Every debate begins with identity and ends with patience has limits. The next game is Chelsea, a club that can smell vulnerability. The manager walks into the press room and refuses to perform. He doesn't punch the podium. He doesn't promise fireworks. He says the same things he says to his players. Details, distances, transitions. Trust the work. Match day. The stadium turns its face toward the pitch like a courtroom waiting for a verdict. From the first whistle, the new United plays with a kind of stern joy. Gaps opened, lines shifted, passes fizzed with purpose. Then, chaos. A long ball turns into a foot race. Their keeper charges and misjudges. The referee reaches for red. Advantage, yes, but a trap as well. Complacency, impatience, the worst friend of a team still learning to breathe as one. They resist the trap. They stay on their principles. Width maintained. The spare man found. The ball circulated with intent, not nostalgia. The first goal arrives from a pattern they rehearsed 100 times in Carrington. Inside channel run. Low cutback, one-touch finish from the captain, his 100th for the club. The celebration is not choreography, it's catharsis. The second comes from a set piece, the kind of goal great sides win ugly with. A thumping header from the anchor who lives for duels. Old Trafford roars like a promise redeemed. But this is United. Drama is part of the rent. A second yellow in stoppage time of the first half. 10 versus 10. The script flips again. Chelsea climbs the steps of momentum and pushes. The new United shows the other half of identity. Suffer well. Not suffering as panic, but as poise. Blocks timed to the heartbeat. Clearances with targets, not prayers. Transitions that relieve pressure, not just waste time. Chelsea pulls one back and the stadium goes quiet in that way you can feel more than hear. 7 added minutes appear like a dare. These are the minutes that reveal character. These are the minutes when ideas either crumble or become belief. They hold, not by luck, not by romance, but by structure. The wing-back tucks in on the far side as the cross arcs. The near-side centre-back wins the duel he used to lose. The goalkeeper claims with authority and collapses on the ball like it's the last secret on earth. The whistle goes. 2-1. The sound is not joy, it's release. This is not United are back. It's better than that. It's United know who they are becoming. That night is a hinge. Doors swing differently afterward. Players who were unsure become missionaries. Fans who were skeptical become guardians. The press, always the last to notice, starts to talk about patterns instead of individual moments. The derby loss becomes a bruise instead of a wound. Here's why that night matters beyond the scoreline. Systems get validated not by speeches but by stress tests. 10 versus 10. A 1-goal lead under siege. A stadium ready to pout or explode. If your identity survives that, it's real. Now, let's pull back the lens and examine the architecture. The back three is not a museum piece, it's a living organism. The right centre-back is allowed, even encouraged, to step into midfield when the lane opens. That creates overloads and strips fear from the first pass. The central defender becomes a traffic cop, directing distances, covering the space behind wing-backs and selecting when to compress and when to contain. The left centre-back becomes a hybrid. Defender on the back foot, playmaker on the front foot. It takes intelligence and bravery. It also takes coaching sessions that look like physics class. The wing-backs are oxygen. Their job is not to be fullbacks with extra running, it's to be wingers with extra responsibility. They're asked to arrive at the far post like strikers and recover to the touchline like sprinters. Their timing matters more than their pace. Arrive late and you become a decoy. Arrive perfect and you become the assist that never appears on the stat sheet. The double pivot in midfield is the metronome and the shield. One step to screen, one angle to receive. Both must be comfortable standing in traffic and asking for the ball. You can teach pressing triggers. You cannot teach the nerve to show in a crowd and make the next pass simple. That's selection. That's culture. That's the kind of detail that turns possession into progression instead of paralysis. Up front, the front three is not static. The 9 pins the centre-backs and creates vertical gravity. One wide forward slashes into the half space to become a shadow striker. The other stretches the pitch wide to drag the back line into uncertainty. Rotations are pre-planned, but look spontaneous. That's choreography done right. It feels free because it's drilled to death. All of this is nothing without the weirdest superpower in football: patience without passivity. The new United plays fast when it should, but never because it's bored. It uses possession as a weapon, not a wallpaper. It presses not because it's fashionable, but because it hates being bored off the ball. The identity becomes visible in sequences: regain, 2-touch escape, switch, third man run, cut back. Rinse, repeat, improve. Let's talk about the dressing room, because this is where empires live or die. The culture is built on a sentence that sounds like a dare. Standards don't care how you feel today. That sounds harsh until you realize it sets you free. Players know what's required. They know excuses don't fly. They also know mistakes aren't crimes if they're followed by improvement. Feedback is surgical, not theatrical. Meetings are shorter, sharper, and centered on clips. Every player leaves the room with 2 notes to improve and 1 note they did well. Shame is not a tool. Clarity is. Discipline is the low hum under everything. On time, in shape, diet monitored. Extra work encouraged but purposeful. Senior players are walking billboards for the message. The ones who buy in become extensions of the staff. The ones who don't find themselves without minutes and without a narrative to hide behind. This is not cruelty. This is fairness applied consistently. The badge is not an alibi. The academy is not a PR department. It's a bloodstream. The bar for promotion is simple. Can you play your role within the structure at the speed of the first team? If yes, welcome. If not yet, here are the steps. Talented kids are introduced not as saviors, but as solutions to specific tactical questions. Game states are treated like classrooms. 10-minute cameos with 1 instruction. Occupy the half space and release the wing-back. Stay on the last line and spin on the blind side. They learn, they grow. They don't carry the weight of a city at 19. A club regains its soul when the crowd can guess the next pass and still be excited when it lands. That's identity. That's the memory of the team reshaping the memory of the stadium. Back to that comparison everybody loves to throw around. Is he the new Ferguson? It's the wrong question if you're looking for a clone. It's the right question if you're looking for the same ferocity about standards, the same appetite for brave choices, the same refusal to be trapped by yesterday's wins or yesterday's fears. The past offers a map, not a prison. Tactically, the differences are real and revealing. The old empire loved its wingers like a poet loves the wind. The new project loves control, like an engineer loves measurements. Neither is right. Both are beautiful when rooted in courage. The common ground is not shape, it's sharpness. It's a demand that every minute on the pitch has a purpose. It's the understanding that the hardest thing to coach is not tactics, it's conviction. Conviction is what got them through Chelsea. Conviction is what will get them through winter, when tired legs turn ideas into heavy boots. That's when the details matter twice as much. That's when the bench has to be not just ready, but ruthless. That's when a January signing isn't a headline, it's a hinge. Let's project forward, because this is Infinite Football, and we deal in long arcs. After the Chelsea hinge, performances settle into a pleasing shape. The team stops conceding the soft one, the build-up sheds a second per phase, the chances start looking alike, which sounds boring until you realise that's the mark of a machine. The press generates goals, not just applause. The data backs the eye test. Expected goals up, expected threats against, down, territory tilted, recovery runs shorter because starting positions smarter. Cup nights become auditions for depth pieces, who suddenly look like contributors. A rotated side executes the same principles, and that is the loudest compliment a system can get. The big games stop being stage fright and start being opportunities, because the team knows who it is when the lights get vicious. But the climb is never straight. Injuries slice into rhythm. A sloppy pitch turns a clean structure into a mud fight. An opponent sits in a 5-4-1 and refuses to give the half spaces, dares the wing-backs to cross into bodies. Those are the nights the manager earns his sleep. He tweaks the heights of the pivots. He inverts a wing-back to create a box in midfield. He brings on a target profile for the last 15 and tells the wide forward to attack the second ball zone. Not vibes, adjustments. This is how legacies aren't repeated, but reimagined. You don't worship the past, you talk to it. You ask it for courage and give it back innovation. The club stops pretending it can live off memory. It goes to work. It sweats forward. People ask, when will they be back? The better question, when will they stop looking back? The answer is not a date, it's a behaviour. It's when the team can play a bad half and fix itself without panic. It's when the worst period in a game is only 10 minutes long. It's when the stadium believes a one-goal lead can be protected by the ball, not just by tackles. And one day, no banner will be needed to explain it. The pitch will do the talking in long, fluent sentences. You'll recognise the dialect, you've heard it before. Ambition, spoken through football. But the vocabulary will be modern. Rest defence, overload to isolate, third man bounce, half space occupancy. Different words, same message. We decide how this goes. If you're still here, you're the kind of fan this channel was built for. You want the story behind the score, the why behind the what. So if you haven't already, subscribe to Infinite Football. It keeps these deep dives alive, and it puts more long-form football filmmaking in your feed. Let's close with the moment that started this night of clarity. The Chelsea match that didn't crown a champion, but crowned an identity. It began with a swing of chaos. It settled into structure, and it ended with a roar that said, "We will not be blown around by every gust of drama." That's the statement. That's the inheritance. That's the standard. No manager should carry the weight of a statue. The greatest tribute to the past is to build a future that could stand beside it without apology. This project is not a photocopy. It is a blueprint written in today's ink. If the work continues, if the standards hold, if the academy keeps its promise, then one day Old Trafford will stop asking for yesterday and start announcing tomorrow. Because dynasties aren't born in parades. They're born in the hours no one posts. The drills that look boring, the meetings that sharpen, the substitutions that feel cold and later prove kind, the small wins that stack until they look like inevitability. The night it all clicks and refuses to unclick. The ghost on the touchline doesn't scare the new architect. It nods. It recognizes the smell of the work. And somewhere inside this stadium that's seen everything, a new story is being written with the same pen. Different hand, same urgency. If you felt this, if you want the next chapter, hit subscribe to Infinite Football. Drop a like to feed the algorithm, and tell us in the comments which match you think will be the next hinge in this rebuild. More stories are coming, more truths, more nights when the floodlights feel like destiny. This is not a story about the past. This is a warning from the future. And the future wears red.